I don't know nobody that's not trying to be happy or successful. If you're not trying to be those two things, something's seriously wrong. And you gotta go get yourself some help. So where I started from was my father making $5 a day. I come from nothing. I had a severe stuttering problem throughout school. I flunked out of school. I'm on my third marriage. I lost everything I ever owned twice. I've been homeless and lived in a car for 3 years. We talking about next level? I'm finna show you how to get there. See, the cool thing about me is I ain't got nothing to sell you. I ain't got nothing for you. I'm just gonna tell you how you can get to the next level. Now, I've been debating on how I was gonna do this, but I thought the best way to go about this is just tell you my story. And in my story, maybe you can see some of yourself. Listen, man, anybody can be successful, but you gotta understand something. It's hard. It's hard, man. You can take all the courses you want. It's hard. You can go down there to the church and hold your hands in a prayer circle. When you get through praying, it's gonna be hard. You go to school, you can get all the degrees you want. When you get them degrees and you hang them on the wall, if you want to be successful, it's gonna be hard. It's hard being successful. That's the first thing you need to understand. Come to these seminars and have these people come out here, talk to you about success and everything, come out here and they do a nice job of it. But then you go back and think you got it. It's hard. I don't even know the speaker's names, but all these people that's up here, it was hard. That lady had the red dress on to get to where she at. It's hard. It's hard. Understand that. It's hard, man. The first way to get focus is to find purpose. The way to find purpose is you must identify what it is that you have to be purposeful in. Right when you are struggling with what to do, who you are, what's your next move, you are in an identity crisis. You are struggling with just who you are. See, you have not discovered who you are. You have to discover who you are in order to move you forward. If no one ever gave you the directions, let me tell you something. When you get up and you get up in the morning, you go get in the car or you walk out your door, you have a destination in mind. If you go outside with no destination, what do? You wander around. Once you don't have a destination, you are going to wander around. You cannot get in your car without a destination. Where do you drive? So you are in an identity crisis, the same thing I was in. So you have to find your purpose. So let me help you with this. If you are in this situation, the solution is the first thing, you have to do the thing that God gave you. You just have to identify your gift. That's the first thing. Until you do that, you can forget it. You'll never find your purpose. You'll never know your mission. You'll never know the reason. So I think we're in an identity crisis. I think you have to identify who you are and what your real gift is and pursue the gift. The Bible says your gift will make room for you, put you in the presence of great men. That's what your gift do. That's God. That ain't Steve. I'm telling you what God said. You ain't got to believe me. It's in your Bible. I'm just telling you the truth. I identified my gift. See, that's why when he said, Steve, you can sing. Whoa, hey, hold up, man. That's not what I do. I've identified my gift. I'm in the joke-telling business. Your gift is like a tree trunk. Your gift is the trunk of a tree. On a tree, it has many branches. Now, because my gift is comedy, that's my tree trunk. That's what I was made for, the gift. Two things. Your career is what you're paid for. Your calling is It's what you're made for. So God took this tree trunk and made a lot of branches. Comedy made me a movie, a TV star, a radio star, or I can write books. But then what he made me for was to motivate people, to change people's lives by sending me through a process that was so hard for me to overcome. When somebody like you stands up and asks me a question, I know the answer without even thinking, because I've been processed. I've been homeless, so I know exactly what you're feeling. You feel me? Albert Einstein said that imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. That's what your imagination is. Your imagination is actually very, very real. Everything you imagine could be a preview to life's coming attraction. Everything we have today came from somebody's imagination. Somebody was talking on the phone with that cord on the wall and got sick of it and said, you know what, man, if I could just go outside and talk on the phone, ta-da, we got cell phones. Somebody got tired of driving across the country and said, man, if I could fly over there, boom, we got airplanes. Imagination is everything. It's a preview to life's coming attractions. Everything you've ever imagined is real. See, I tell young people like this. First of all, this is how your imagination works. You got to grab this concept. It is impossible for you to think an impossible thought. That is impossible. You can't think something that ain't possible. You ain't that smart. So if it's in your head, you got to ask yourself, how did it get there? That's God showing you a preview of a coming attraction he has for you. The problem with most people is you think your imagination is hocus pocus. It's really not. It's a preview of a coming attraction. If you react to your imagination, that's where your real life is. It's just God showing you what he has for you. The problem people have is they tell their imagination to the wrong people. As a kid, you know, I didn't know, but my gift is that I found out later on, I have the ability to think extremely quick, and I can take any piece of information and transpose it into comedy immediately. Now, when you're a kid and you don't understand that, you get in a lot of trouble. I stayed in a lot of trouble. I've been to more principal office than all of y'all put together, and the pastor's office at the church, because I just couldn't control it. I thought something and I fired it off, and it was instant, and it happened. And you know, I didn't know what it was until I got older, that this was a gift, that it did make room for me, that I became a stand-up comedian, which started with a dream of mine, and it led to where I am today. It's a lot of stuff that happened in between there. But your gift is the thing that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort. That's your God-given gift, and everybody has one, and God gives it to you at birth. You don't have to go anywhere to discover it. It's not in the water, it's not on the mountaintop, it ain't hid under a rock. Your God-given gift is instilled in you at birth. If you pursue that as opposed to your passion, there lies your greatest chance for success. The problem with people is we don't pursue our gift oftentimes. We try to go get an education and make it think that's going to get us somewhere, and then we try to pursue a passion. And you know, I'm passionate about golf. I really am. I'm passionate about golf. But I need 24 balls when I start a round of golf, because as passionate as I am, I'm not gifted at it. I make some good shots. You know, I hit one every now and then, get up there, you know, green in regulation. But for the most part, you know, I got to go find that ball somewhere. And I'm passionate about it, but I'm not gifted at it. If you identify that gift, man, that gift is the thing that can make you great. Your gift will make room for you. Now, what is your gift? It's the thing that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort. That's your gift. Quit running away from the gift. Your gift will make room for you. Stop trying to be something you ain't gifted at. Nobody asked you to go down here and study to be a dentist, and you ain't really good at that. Quit going down to the church trying to sing. You can't sing. Now, just because they let you sing at the church, you're not finna, anybody else finna go with this. Because, you know, come as you are, the Lord loveth a cheerful giver, all that. We don't apply scriptures out here. You come to the Apollo and you can't sing, we got something for your ass up there. Period. Listen to me. All of you have this gift. Identify it. It's the thing that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort. That's what you should be doing. You're wasting your time pursuing your passion. The Bible does not mention passion. It mentions your gift. What are you gifted at, and do that? Stop tripping. You can do that. If you fry chicken better than everybody you know, you ought to be somewhere frying chicken. People make millions of dollars frying chicken. Popeyes, Kentucky Fried Chicken, El Pollo Loco. All they doing is making chicken. They just found a way to do it. Somebody just started making chicken. You know the story of Marie Callender's? Do you know what this woman did, man? She worked for a diner, a greasy spoon diner that was going out of business. It was her only job. She was a single mother. It was her only job. She needed that job, but the diner was going to close. So she went to the owner of the diner and said, let me bake one of my pies. People like my pies, and see if I can help you make a little money. He said, whatever, bring it in. She bought one pie in. They sold every slice. The next day, the people came in and asked for the pie. She had to go home and make another pie. The next day, so many people asked for the pie, she had to make 4 pies. Then people started saying, can I buy my own pie? She made so many pies at this store that she eventually saved her money and put a commercial oven in her house. Now, she done made so many pies, the dude's shop, he ain't selling hamburger no more. All he's selling is them damn pies. That's how Marie Callender got started. Marie Callender now has over 120 restaurants. You can't go to no frozen food section without seeing Marie Callender in there. You know what she started with? A pie. One pie. The dude that, when I had hair, when I had that world famous lining with that box cut, when I was Steve Hightower, Kings of Comedy, when I had that hair, the dude that cut my hair, I met him in 1986. He cut my hair for $10. I remembered him. When I got on TV, I had hired him. He came out there, he started making $300 a haircut. I paid him 10. He had been with me so many years that he was making $1,500 per haircut. I was getting my hair cut 4 times a week for television and touring. I paid him $1,500 each time. He was making $6,000 a week. You know what he was doing? Cutting hair. That same haircut I paid $10 for in '87. This dude was cutting it now for me for $1,500. I cut my hair off. We had to put him on suicide watch for a little while. But then let me tell you what he did. I paid him a chunk of money for being with me all these years, gave him a severance pay, told him good luck. Guess what this dude got now? He got 4 salons and he owned 2 barber colleges. You know what this dude make now? $3.6 million a year. You know what he do? He cut hair. He cut hair. He don't do nothing else. That's his gift. Friend of mine we grew up with, all he did was cut grass. He had a single blade lawnmower that he pushed. He was so good at it, he could raise the blades up and lower them. He could cut patterns in your grass. We little, I'm going, hey man, we going swimming. Now I got to cut Miss Jackson grass. He could cut patterns in your yard. He could put your initials in your grass. As a little boy, $2 for the front, $2 for the back, $4. We used to laugh at him all the time. Well, let me tell you what we laughing at now. He got a landscaping company in Cleveland. You know how much this boy making? $4 million a year. You know what he do? He cut grass. He got 38 trucks. He got all the contracts in the city, malls, corporations. And when it snow outside, he do such a good job cutting the grass, he put plows on the front of his trucks, and he got all the snow removal contracts. This boy making $4 million a year, and you know what he do? He cut grass. I don't have a relationship with God because I'm afraid of burning in hell. I have a relationship with God because he helps me in my day-to-day living. I have a relationship with God because if there is an eternal place to go live, I want to go see it. I figure, as long as I ain't trying to step on nobody to get to where I'm going, look, you all gonna make mistakes. Everybody's a sinner in here. Everybody in here broken. Everybody need help. I need help. I'm broken. You need God fixing you some kind of way. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you got. You need God. But listen to me. Don't you understand that that's okay? It's all right to have a relationship with God. Having a relationship with God is really cool. And you're looking at a street dude telling you this. But he changed people, God changed people. If you followed my career any length of time, from the time I was back on the Steve Harvey show, all the way up through the Kings of Comedy, all the way up to 2005, you saw what my life was. But after 2005, he came and he got me though. Because he got sick of me. And I got sick of me. See, you know what happened to me in 2005? I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was so sick of me. Y'all saw me on TV, y'all saw this money I was making. I was miserable, man. I was at my unhappiest point in life all the way up to 2005. I was miserable. We was Kings of Comedy. The only time I had a good time was when I was on stage. The only time I had a good time, I was in front of the camera. I was with Sid and the boys, we was performing. When I got off that stage, my life was miserable, man. I was in a pain you would not believe. I was in an abyss, man. I was in a dark place. How in the world did I get here? I got here because of God's grace. My plight had overtaken me, and I was about done. But right when you think you about done, don't it always show up? Can you name me one single thing God ain't brought you through? Can you name it? If he ain't brought you through it, he's currently pulling you through it right now. And you know how I know that's real? Because you're sitting in here. The God I serve, you can't put no limitations on him. If you just get out the way, he can show you something. He do miraculous things all the time. Why would you not want one of them miracles to happen for you? I'm sitting here, for me to be here today, the dude that I was, it's a miracle. We pray little prayers. We pray stuff that we see a way to get. You're supposed to pray for stuff you can't see no way how you can get it. God is in the make your dream come true business. God is in the get your life together business. God is in the forgiving business. Don't let nobody fool you, man. Don't let nobody fool you. Don't forget to pray. Don't be ashamed to pray, and don't ever be too proud to pray, because prayer changes things. Prayer changes people too.
How to be mentally tough. Who is able to look at it and say, no, I'm good enough to learn here. I'm good enough to try some new shit. And that is the mark of a true champion. It's humility, true humility. People think humility is, I don't brag about my success. No, dude, you guys got it all wrong. Humility is the skill of understanding that you can always improve. You can always get better. And you're no better than the work you do. So, dude, that's something most people just won't do.
All I ever knew was effort. will get me seen on tape. Effort will get me noticed to get to the league. Effort would one day take care of my mom and my kids. Effort, which is between you and you. Nobody else can give you effort. Effort is with inside, man. And I'm still grinding because the next kid is talking about he getting too old. Keep watching me if I am. Nobody ain't got to convince me of what I do. I do what I do because I do what I do, because I'm built from something.
Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. You just got to quit tripping while you're in the process, because the process is necessary. You may not see it now, but when he gets you on the other side of it, you're going to see exactly why it went that way, and you're going to be okay with it. But quit tripping during the process. Oh, Lord, why me? You ain't the only one. Oh, Lord, why me? You ain't the only one. Oh, Lord, why I lose my job? You ain't the only one unemployed. Oh, Lord, why he leave me? You ain't the first chick got left. This might not even be your last time getting left. Pull yourself together and quit tripping, because you in the process.
So I ask, what is your wake-up call? What is enslaving you? What is controlling your thoughts? Is it the television set? Feeding your mind images of what life should be? Is it the internet drawing you in and controlling your time? Is it drugs or alcohol numbing your brain and diminishing your desires? Or is it weakness? A lack of discipline that prevents you from accomplishing what you want to accomplish.
Some of you are not where you want to be. You don't have what you want to have. You're not doing what you want to do because you've never been exposed to it before. And that's how my life changed. When I started hanging around millionaires, when I started hanging around successful business owners, when I started hanging around success, it rubbed off on the kid. Are you hearing me? I took those principles and bam, took them to another level. And I'm about to share some principles with you today for real. It's going to take you to a whole nother level. So last week I told you, shut up. Shut up. You talk too much and you never shut up. I told you to talk less and grind more. Are you hearing me? Talk less and grind more.
You know, there are so many people on the planet and they're really operating from the past. And here's what I mean. Something happened to them when they were little kids. They were told not to dream too big. They were told to dress like everyone else. They had a dream and the dream failed. Or maybe you were a teenager and there was someone that you loved and you got rejected. Or maybe you were 22 and you started a business and you failed in that business. And now it's 10 years later or 20 years later or 40 years later, and you're still living in the past.
Average person, you and I have about 75,000 thoughts a day rattling around in this thing we call our brains and our minds, 75,000 of them. The crazy thing is 91% of those thoughts are identical to the previous day and are identical to the day before that and the day before that and the day before that. And then we wonder why our life seems to repeat itself over and over again. So really the difference in our life, if we have 75,000 thoughts a day, here's the crazy thing, 91% of them are exactly the same. The separation in our life is in those 9% of their thoughts, because remember this, these magnets are pretty powerful. That's why I'm always saying that your obsessions become your possessions, because they do. You draw into your life exactly what it is you think about. It's a physical reality that you attract to yourself what you think about. So the difference in our life is 9% of our thoughts. That's why people say all the time the difference between winning and losing is so small It's almost too scary to talk about. And really, we've identified what it is. It's 9% of what we think about alters the direction of our life. So what I'm here to tell you today is you've got to hone in and get aware of what you think about and then alter those 9% of the thoughts that are variable on a daily basis to serve you.
These thoughts that we have, we think they're our thoughts, so it makes it really hard to change them. And people meditate and try to not think thoughts. Show me somebody that's done that successfully, consistently. They're full of shit, right? Everybody, the mind thinks thoughts. But here's the distinction. If I told you 100 years ago we were going to fly to the moon and back, you would have called me a lunatic. That's where the term comes from. And people still use it, and it doesn't make any sense because a lunatic is somebody who thought we'd go to the moon and back and we've done it, right?
I didn't know that.
But if I would have told you 100 years ago that there's going to be a box in your pocket and you're going to pull this thing out, you're going to hit a couple buttons, and then it's going to capture invisible waves that are drifting around the earth and bring the waves in, and you're going to see somebody on the other side of the earth and you're going to talk to them, you're totally nuts. Thoughts are those invisible waves. And when you use your body in a certain way, if I sit like this, I'm going to tap into a different channel of those waves than if I'm sitting like this. Kind of like a TV set. If I turn one channel, it might be a comedy channel. I'm going to see a lot of laughter. Turn another one, it's a horror channel. Turn another channel, it's a romance channel. This is what changes which of those waves you touch in. So if you can start to realize that your thoughts that you think are your thoughts, there's nothing unique about your thoughts. They've been around for thousands of years. You're just tapping into them because of what you're doing with your body that makes you either fearful or passionate or courageous or whatever you're feeling. As you go in those states, you get different thoughts. So what I want people to see is that learn how to just see those thoughts go by. Learn how to be entertained by those thoughts.
That means when you have opposition, when you have trouble and things come against you, God has a table there. The key is to don't fight with the opposition. Don't live worried, upset, stressed out. No, take a seat at the table God has prepared. If you will stay in rest, then God will go to work. But when you work, God rests. As long as you're uptight, worried, trying to make it happen only in your own strength, it will limit what God will do. The psalmist said, "Be still and know that He is God." Clear out the worry. Clear out the negativity. Live from a place of faith, a place of peace. God has you in the palm of His hand. Nothing you're facing is a surprise to Him. He said to the Israelites, "Stand still and you will see the deliverance of the Lord." He wasn't just talking about physically. He was talking about in their mind.
See, if you wake up every day and you say you're not a morning person, you're doing a serious disservice to yourself, because your attitude determines your altitude. A lot of your mornings start off bad because you've taken claim that you're not a morning person. Why would you not be a morning person when the whole goal is to wake up every morning? You got to be in the life-changing business. People have got to look at you like a light. Something should be in you that shows other people that there's hope. You don't know this about yourself, but you're gonna be that person one day. And you gotta start preparing for what you wanna be. At least let God know you're glad you're alive. You don't let nobody else. You don't know it, but you're gonna be a light one day. And people gonna look to you for that light.
I believe in winning the battle against yourself, because there's a lot of things you can control. When you wake up and talk about making your bed, make your bed. Make sure your house is clean. Make sure you get your breakfast. Make sure you shower, shave, whatever you're doing, control that. Don't hit the snooze button. All these things are very important. That's been told a lot of times. Why don't you hit the snooze button? Because you wake up already failing. You're already behind the power curve. So what happens when you hit the snooze button? You may not make your bed. You may not pick the right clothes out in the time. So that's the mindset that I think it's important to bring with you every day you go, everywhere you go in life.
Time is the inexplicable raw material of everything. With it, all is possible. Without it, nothing. The supply of time is truly a daily miracle, an affair genuinely astonishing when one examines it. You wake up in the morning and lo, your purse is magically filled with 24 hours of the unmanufactured tissue of the universe of your life. It is yours. It is the most precious of possessions. No one can take it from you. It is unstealable. And no one receives either more or less than you receive. In the realm of time, there is no aristocracy of wealth and no aristocracy of intellect. Genius is never rewarded by even an extra hour a day. And there is no punishment. Waste your infinitely previous commodity as much as you will, and the supply will never be withheld from you. You cannot waste tomorrow. It is kept for you. You cannot waste the next hour. It is kept for you. I have said the affair was a genuine miracle. Is it not? You have to live on this 24 hours of daily time. Out of it, you have to spend health, pleasure, money, content, respect, and the evolution of your immortal soul. Its right use, its most effective use, is a matter of the highest urgency and of the most thrilling actuality. All depends on that. Your happiness, the elusive prize that you are all clutching for, my friends, depends on that.
How do you have time for anything? How do you have time to dink around on Facebook? How do you have time to watch hours and hours of TV? How do you have time to do anything? It's simply because that's where you put the priority. So don't tell yourself you don't have time. Just say it's not important. And maybe it isn't, and that's okay. But if it is, make the time to get it done.
If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. Complain, point at your circumstances, give up your power, blame the government. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. It's hard to make a radical change in your behavior. It's hard to take ownership. It's hard to swallow the bitter pill that wherever you find yourself, at some point in time, you made an appointment to be there. That's hard.
Remember how you had a job interview for a job? We've had several of them in our lives. What did you do the night before that job, weeks before the job interview? When you knew you had it. You prepared you had a bowl out for your oatmeal, your cereal, whatever you had in the morning time. Your coffee cup was out. Your clothes were laid out. You studied, you rehearsed, you were ready. You brought your best self. You were going to war with yourself because you wanted that interviewer to see your best self. You won. You got the job. After a few months in that job, you look around, I got the job. You start to back off. The clothes aren't out. You hit the snooze button. You don't get up on time anymore. You realize that you can still have this job and not be your best self. The interview you is gone. You have your job, but the interview you is gone. So winning the battle in the morning time is just that. It's that you wake up in the morning time and you own all this stuff. Because once you leave your house, the world then gets at you. And that's why I believe in not getting up in the morning time and checking your phone immediately. Everybody does that. They get up, the first thing they do is grab their phone, look at the phone. Maybe bad news on there. So how's your day start off? I don't go to the gym. You're caught up now on that phone. That's how your day starts. You lost control. So once you win that battle in the morning time, then once you go out, now you've won. You go outside your house, you may lose your job, you may have a bad hit, but you won something. So you go on into battle having already won something. Having already won. So then if you hit the snooze button, you go out, you're just defeated already. You're behind the power curve. Now you've won something. You feel better about yourself. So now you're able to take these hits along the way.
Well, we all know sleep is really good for you. In fact, I cheat myself because I could probably, if I could sleep a little longer, I would probably be better, because all medical science tells you that how important, 7-8 hours of sleep is for each person. What I want to say to you is, when you wake up. Don't sleep during the day. Don't get a little bit unconscious and let life pass you. Be intentional. Go for it. Be in the moment. Be alert. Be aware. Seize the time. We don't have much of it. I guess what I'm really saying is, when you're awake, stay awake. Then when you sleep, it's a little bit more legal.
If one cannot arrange that an income of 24 hours shall exactly cover all proper items of expenditure, one does muddle one's whole life indefinitely. We shall never have any more time. We have, And we have always had, all the time there is. It's not that difficult to get something started. You run it for a while, and after a while it starts running you. That's part of the challenge. I told my staff one day, giving birth to a tiger is one thing, learning how to ride it is something else, right? Sometimes you start it, and then it turns around and starts giving you all kinds of trouble. If you're working already 8-10 hours a day, that's about it. You just can't work much more than that. Bursts at a time, you can work 12, 14, 16, right? I'm sure we've all learned to do that, put in the extra time. But after a while, you pretty well have to put your life in balance, or your health is in jeopardy, and your heart's in jeopardy, your blood pressure's in jeopardy, a lot of things, if you don't stay in balance. So you don't have to put in any more hours, probably. All you have to do is just make better use of the hours. A cliche we've all heard. It's not the hours you put in, it's what you put in the hours that counts.
It's an urge. Truth be told, every champion has felt it. Every president has felt it. Every king has felt it. Every lion has felt it. Every winner has felt it. Every soldier has felt it. Every victorious person has felt it. The urge to quit. Don't you give up on your dream. I don't care if you don't have the money, you don't have the help, and you don't have the family for it, and you don't have the background for it, and you don't have the friends for it. Don't you give up on your dream. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. It may take you twice as long. You may have to take courses and classes. You might not read as fast. You might not move as quick. You might not have as much. But don't you quit. Don't you quit. Don't you quit. You do make a difference. You do make a difference. You do make a difference. As weak as you are, as tired as you are, as many mistakes as you made, you do make a difference. There is something they would lose if you were not there. There was something that they would miss if you were not there. You do make a difference. You do make a difference. You do make a difference. Keep hopping. It's for people that are trying to hop their way back home. Come hell or high water, doing the best they can with what they got. That's who we are, doing the best we can with what we got. And we may not break any ribbons and we may not get any trophies, but if we can learn how to hang on in there, we'll be all right. I will not lie to you, I feel like going on. But I have seen days I did not want to get out of bed, didn't want to put on clothes, and didn't even feel like brushing my teeth. I've seen days so dark that I just want to keep driving, and I didn't even care where I ended up or what you called me. They came, and they passed. And they came to pass. Kept the faith. I kept it. I lost a lot of stuff. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of strength. I lost a lot of courage. I lost a lot of time. I lost a lot of money. But I kept down on my knees. I was still believing. Broke, I was believing. Lonely, I was believing. Betrayed, I was. If you lose a job, keep the faith. If you lose a spouse, keep the faith. If you bury your child, keep the faith. If you have to downsize, keep the faith. If you have to move in with your mama, keep the faith. If you're at your wit's end, keep the faith. If you have to catch the bus, keep the faith. If you have to dumb, keep the faith. If you get sick, keep the faith. If you lose your kidneys, keep the faith. If you got heart trouble, keep the faith. You might not get a new heart, but you got to keep your faith.
Here's what I'd say. I want to mention one of the myths, though, to start with.
Yeah.
Not a myth, but a step. I want everybody who's watching to remember one thing. The biggest myth you have, not the one that's been sold to you, that hurts you is the average person thinks finance is so complex because, frankly, the industry tries to make it sound complex. They use words that you don't know, so you don't know what to do. You know, what does this mean? And so what happens is we just give them our money and say, deal with it. And we don't realize that system has been set up. It's not an evil system. It's set up by corporations that are looking to maximize profit for those corporations. They're not looking out for the investor because this investor's second. And we think we're first, and we're not. So the first piece is you got to know that you can't wait till you have a ton of money to start investing and think, I'm not an investor. What you got to do is say, rather than my Apple phone, let me own Apple stock. Let me own a piece of all the best companies, not just Apple. I've got to become an owner or I'll always be in scarcity. If you can invest in business, even a small amount, you can grow. And I don't care how small it is, but you got to automate it. There's a gentleman named Theodore Johnson who is amazing. He worked for UPS, started as a driver, never made more than $14,000 total in a year. That was his highest salary in a year. In his old age, he's worth $70 million. And how did he do it? All he did was what I teach is the first step is you got to take a percentage of what you earn and pretend it's a tax. You're never going to see that money again. You automate it, it goes straight to the investment account, and you never see it as money you can spend. He did that with 20%. He said, I can't save 5. Somebody in his family said, if there was a tax, you'd pay it, and they made it 20%. When you save 20% and you compound it, its numbers are incredible. So I show people how to do that. But then the problem is, if you do that first step, but you don't do the second step, which is become an insider,
yes,
and understand the rules of the game, then the old adage is a person with money meets a person with experience, and the person with experience ends up with your money. I mean, that's how it works. So I'll give you 2 or 3 of the myths real fast. One, this myth that someone says, give me your money and I'm going to beat the market. It's just a lie. Warren Buffett made it clear it's a lie. Ray Dalio, one of the greatest investors in history. David Swenson, who has taken Yale's money, $1 billion, and converted it to $24 billion in 2 decades. The greatest institutional investor in the world. They've all said it. Warren Buffett flat out said today, he said, listen, in my will, 90% of my money, all that money does not go with any mutual fund. It goes straight into the index. What the index is you get a piece of all the largest companies in the world, but it costs almost nothing to get in. Because over any 10-year period of time, 96% of mutual funds will not even match the market. Now, you're paying for a mutual fund. What this means is you hire someone because you say, I have a family, I have a business, I have a life. I'm not an investor. I'm going to hire someone who's a professional. It makes sense. They would do better than me. Unfortunately, that's wrong. Because what happens is 4% of them will beat the market, but it's not the same 4%. So your chances of finding the right one, have you ever played blackjack?
Yes.
So if you play blackjack, everybody knows you played for 21. If you go above 21, you're gone. If you get 2 face cards and they're sitting in front of you and you got a 20 out of 21, you got the chance to stay or say hit me. If you hit you, there's only one card that'll get you to the other. It's an ace. If your inner idiot says hit me, you have an 8% chance of winning. You have a 4% chance of finding the right mutual fund. It's not going to happen. So what happens for people is they think they've been sold, we're going to do better, and they might for a year or 2. But what matters, you live off the long term. You don't live off the year or 2. And they just don't do it. Warren Buffett has a bet right now with Protege Partners, which is a group that does hedge funds. And he said, you can pick 5 hedge funds. You can mold the best of them together. I'm going to own the market, which costs me next to nothing. You're going to get the hedge funds, which cost a lot. 10-year bet, who's going to win? Put up $1 million. Right now, they're 6 years into it. Warren Buffett's at 42%. They're at 12%. Right? Just crazy. So the second thing is, after getting terrible performance, people say, well, fees don't really matter. Or they'll tell you it's only 1%. And I ask people all the time, how much are you paying? And they go, I don't know. Or they'll say 1%. 1% is called the expense ratio. That's like the edge of the sticker price. If you read that 50-page prospectus in your mutual fund, even one of them is 50 pages, which you won't, you'd have a hard time with a PhD figuring it out. In fact, there's a man named Hilton Smith, I quote in the book, who spent 2 weeks, he's got a doctorate as an economist, took him 2 weeks to go through them all and figure out there are 17 different fees. And Forbes says the average fee is 3.12. Now, if you're watching right now, I'm sure I've lost your brain with all these numbers. So let me make it real for you. 1% versus 3%. Big difference.
Huge.
Right? Here's the difference. Just like you grow by compounding like Theodore Johnson did, your fees also compound. And people don't know that when they hear that little number. So if you have 3 people and the one gets 1% in fees, 2%, the other 3%, they all get the same return. They start out with $100,000 at 35. For 30 years, they accumulate to 65 years old, 7% compounded. They all get 7%. The only difference is the fees. And when they go to retire, the person at 1% in fees is going to have $574,000. 100,000 to 574, not about, if they added not another dime, pretty amazing. The person at 3% in fees will have $224,000. 77% less money. If you want to win a race and you have a 100-pound jockey in the back of your horse, or you want a 300-pound jockey in the back of your horse, fees at 3% are that. If I said to you, here's a deal, let's do an investment, and here's how I want it to work. You give me the money, you put up all the money, you put up all the risk, I'll put up no money, I'll put up no risk. If you lose, I win, and if you win, I win. And if you win, over the life of the time, I'll get 60% of what you earn. You'd say, I'll never do that in a million years. That's a mutual fund with 3%. It's one of the only industries on earth where they've confused this enough that we don't understand we're overpaying by thousands of percent. You could own the stock market, the S&P 500. You can own a piece of all 500 big companies through like the Vanguard 500. And you get the best of all the business, Apple, Exxon, all these companies. And it costs you 0.17. That means less than 0.2%. If you went to a normal mutual fund, you might own the same companies for 3.17. That's like buying a Honda Accord for $20,000 or $350,000 for the same car. If you pay $350,000, you figure out the person next door paid $20,000, so you go crazy. That happens every day with finances because people don't know how to look at this. So when they read the book, that'll never happen to them again.
Yes, it's possible that you can choose your future and direct the course of your life as you run toward your dream. It's necessary that you have goals, that you write those goals down, that you plan, that you think constantly of how you can begin to improve what it is that you're doing. If it's your presentations, if it's your recruiting skills, whatever that is, it's also necessary that you look for ways to always find a way to pull it out when everybody else thinks that you are defeated. That you've got to take personal responsibility to know that in order to become successful, you've got to make it your personal business to do it. But the next thing, ladies and gentlemen, I want to share with you that some of you already know that it's hard. It's not easy. It's hard changing your life. It was hard when just over 3 years ago in the Penobscot building in Detroit, Michigan, where I was operating my business, and I fell on some hard times, and I was sleeping in my office. It was hard coming into the lobby, and the security said, "Excuse me, Mr. Brown, can we see you for a moment?" And I said, "Yes," and I walked up to the counter, and he gave me an envelope. And he said, "Would you mind reading it here?" And I opened the envelope, and the envelope was from management that says, "This is an office tower. It's not a hotel. Please do not sleep in your office." And I said, "Excuse me, sir." I said, "I just work long hours in creating my business. I'm an entrepreneur. And right now things are bad for me, but they're not going to be this way always. And I just asked for the opportunity to continue to operate like I'm doing. I'm not trying to make this my home." And it was hard coming through the lobby. And sometimes they would laugh. There's a guy talking about becoming successful. And look at him. He's bathing in the bathroom upstairs on the 21st floor. He sleeps on the floor. Him and 2 other dreamers up there. Look at him. It was hard, ladies and gentlemen, coming to speak to people. And I was facing financial difficulties in my own life. I was behind on my bills and my dreams, and I'm saying to them, you can live your dream. It was hard, ladies and gentlemen. It was very difficult to pick myself up each day believing that I can do it. There were times that I doubted myself. I said, God, why is this happening to me? I'm just trying to take care of my children and my mother. I'm not trying to steal or rob from anybody. Why did this have to happen to me? It was very hard. And here's what I want to say to you. For those of you that have experienced some hardships, don't give up on your dream. No one could have convinced me by holding on, by continuing to push forward, by continuing to run toward my dream, that one day I would have my own talk show. It's a long shot, ladies and gentlemen, from Liberty City, an abandoned building on a floor, never knowing my mother or father. It's a long shot. Being here with you today in this dome in Atlanta, it's a long shot. No college training, labeled educable, mentally retarded, but I kept running toward my dream.
The enthusiasm that runs deep, the enthusiasm that comes from deep inside, created by self-confidence, created by purpose, created by genuine willingness to help other people.
But my dream!
The enthusiasm that runs deep, the enthusiasm that comes from deep inside, created by self-confidence, created by purpose, created by genuine willingness to help other people.